along with generating lots of heat. The hot sparks and flames from welding and cutting can cause burns, fires, and even explosions. As a rule, you should clear the weld zone of all flammable materials, liquids, and gases. Remove any paper, cardboard, shop rags, garbage cans, wood, sawdust, fuel containers, and anything else that could ignite or melt. The American Welding Society recommends clearing a 35-foot radius around welding if sparks cannot be contained. And that's a big area. And not all processes throw sparks that far, but some could. So it's a good idea to weld in a contained area, like in a corner, a booth, or a dedicated spot that will contain the sparks and spatter while also blocking arc rays. You may also choose to weld outside, but that brings up a whole other list of concerns, like grass and leaf fires. Regardless of where you weld, just remember that even the best plans don't always work out, and sometimes the unexpected can happen. Ask me how I know. So, it's a good idea to keep a fire watch during and after welding to make sure any flames can be quickly snuffed out and dealt with. The American Welding Society recommends a 60-minute fire watch after welding, which was increased from the old standard of 30 minutes, and I'm not sure why, but that's usually how long it takes me to clean up anyways, so it's not a big deal. And spending a little bit of extra time to be vigilant after welding is good extra insurance against a potential accident. Fumes and gases are another consideration for welding. Fumes are produced by many welding and cutting processes, and you should avoid breathing them because they often contain metal particulates and compounds that are not good to breathe in and may cause issues over time. You should avoid breathing the fume plume, which may be especially thick from stick or flux core welding. You should use ventilation or wear a filtered respirator when ventilation is limited. Shop ventilation may be natural if the building has enough size that it doesn't accumulate, or it may be mechanical. And a shop may have a centralized exhaust system or use what they call source extraction, where ventilation is placed directly at the welding operation. Gases used for welding and cutting are often heavier than air, and this means they can accumulate and cause serious issues. Fuel gases can ignite, and shielding gases can displace breathable air in confined spaces or where ventilation is limited. Fuel gases are scented, so you can typically smell them if there's an accumulation, but shielding gases are largely inert, so you can't see them, smell them, or taste them, and that makes them dangerous. So what's a confined space? Well, this is actually any area that's not intended for human occupation, and as a result may lack natural ventilation, which would allow welding gases to collect. Because the gases are heavier than air, they accumulate from the bottom up and they displace that breathable air, which creates the potential for asphyxiation. Pressurized cylinders are another source of potential hazards. Welding and cutting processes use gases for different reasons. Whether you're using a fuel gas or a shielding gas, it's likely they'll be delivered from a pressurized cylinder. Pure oxygen and fuel gases are used for oxy-fuel. Compressed air is used for low-amp plasma cutting, and inert gases are used for MIG and TIG welding. High-pressure cylinders used to store oxygen, argon, and argon mixes are made from seamless, high-strength steel. They have dual seating valves and should be used in the fully open position to prevent them from leaking around the valve stem. Internal pressures of these cylinders can be as high as 2,200 pounds per square inch, or PSI. Low-pressure cylinders are used to store fuel gases, like propane or acetylene. These are welded containers made from plain old carbon steel. They do not have a dual seating valve, so it's recommended to operating with the valve open just enough to maintain flow and pressure. That way, it's easier to turn off the valve in case of a fire. And that's the best way to stop a fire. Turn off the source valve. Remember, the weakest part of any cylinder is the valve, so every effort should be made to protect it at all times. The following rules apply for all safe cylinder use, handling, and storage. Number 1, all cylinders must be stored and handled properly. Number 2, all cylinders must be clearly marked for contents. Number 3, all cylinders must be secured during use. Number 4, Caps must be used during transportation or when the cylinder is not secured. Number 5, all cylinders should only be filled by an approved supplier. Here we see proper safety precautions for storing and using pressurized cylinders. They are secured in use, stored with caps on, and clearly labeled for contents. Arc welding produces electromagnetic fields, or EMF, which can cause health issues and even tissue damage in extreme situations. High welding current at high frequencies using AC or pulse welding tend to increase the intensity of the electromagnetic field, and levels are highest near the welding cables. People with pacemakers or other internal medical devices should keep away from welding. Route the electrode and work cables together to minimize magnetic fields and keep cables away from your body whenever possible. Position your body outside the welding loop or the secondary loop, and if that's not possible, you can look into EMF shielding devices. Welding shops are loud places, and general shop noise can exceed allowable decibel limits. Whether it's noise from the process or surrounding equipment, hearing protection is often required. As a side benefit, earplugs prevent sparks, metal, grinding dust, and other garbage from going into your ear. Metalworking equipment and processes make sparks which can travel, as we discussed, up to about 35 feet from the source. Many processes also generate hot weld spatter. Grinding, beveling, and other metal work usually involves tools operating at high RPMs with enough power to cut metal. Many of these operations produce sparks, dust, or debris that can become a high-velocity projectile, posing serious hazards. When grinding discs and tools fail, they often launch fragments that are extremely dangerous. Always wear eye protection that includes safety glasses, again, that meet ANSI Z87.1 requirements, with side shields, or wear goggles, a mask, or a dedicated grinding face shield to protect yourself. Be mindful of others in the area when performing these activities to be sure they're safe and won't potentially be in harm's way. Welding wires and electrodes are small, sharp objects that can puncture clothing and your skin. Be mindful that MIG or flux core guns feed wire at hundreds of inches per minute, so that wire comes out of the gun pretty fast. Only press the trigger when you're ready to feed wire and point the gun away from yourself and others so you don't get harpooned. Tungsten is sharpened to a point and extremely hard. Keep your hands and body away when sharpening or preparing. Use hand, eye, face, and body protection when grinding your tungsten. And only use an approved grinder with guards in place. Store your gun, torch, or electrode holder so it can't accidentally fall and stab someone. Another way to minimize the risk of injury is to practice good housekeeping. You are responsible for your work area, and a clean work area is a safe work area. A messy work area slows you down because your mobility is limited and your tools are unorganized. Sloppy cables and clutters create tripping hazards and slipping hazards that can easily be avoided. Cleaning your space also removes harmful dust that shouldn't be allowed to accumulate, right, due to its effect on people and equipment. As a tip, you can minimize cleanup time and effort by planning ahead. Lay out your tools and equipment with consideration for scraps, spares, and trash so you can minimize the mess you create. Take care of your tools and materials while periodically reorganizing through the job. Future you will thank you for this effort. And be aware of unique hazards that you might encounter. Remember, each situation is unique and you shouldn't work beyond your training or comfort level in order to avoid accidents. Many specialized welding jobs require extensive training far beyond the basics, and you need to understand the hazards before you get into a bad situation.